Well, we're so happy to have you on with us today. It's always a good day when we get to talk to you. And of course, we've got a lot to discuss. But first of all, on the show, we're now sponsored by the Red Pill, so we're very excited. And we're man, The Chosen is just doing so well. You have to be so excited right now. Season 4 is out, and people are just loving it.
I really like it, because this show has so much that can really impact people's lives, and it just seems like we're gaining steam because people are not only loving it, they're sharing it with everyone, and we just been able to see the multiplication in our audience, which has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, and to go from something that was the biggest crowdsourced thing to be able to get this on TV, to get it on at the movie theaters, and to be have it streaming online in all the platforms. That was quite a thing to pull off, right?
Well, if you really want a billion people to watch it, you can't just keep it for yourself, right? The world's really big. And so for us, our marketing strategy is really make amazing content that'll speak for itself. And all we need to do is just get it in front of the right audience. And as we do this, like, not to be restrictive, but kind of open it up with different platforms and also partners, it just connects. And what I love about it is, as it connects, they get excited about it, they share it. It's good for the platform, it's good for us, and it gets us closer to reaching a billion people watching the show, which we're excited about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then, of course, just to see people in the theaters crying and just, coming together, praying, just being very happy about
Yeah.
what it is that they're seeing. Because, when we grew up, we didn't have as much in the way of great biblical content. We had some, but, some of it
It's a
was,
cheesy stuff, but it was it
yeah,
was it was it was okay.
yeah. And then, how is it that you keep up the quality of content too? Because, the thing is you're going after a well-known story, but of course
Yeah.
you didn't have all the big stars, or now they've become stars, right?
Yeah, Paul, it's not easy and it's not cheap. When we first started, we were on a shoestring budget, and we were able to just kind of extend it. I know God was just kind of blessing us all the way to extend our budget in multiple ways. But as we get a little bit more, into these episodes of the new seasons, it's not like you can go just buy things on Amazon and have them shipped to you and have it be in the show. Like, we have a lot of people on set that have to get the costumes just right. We have to build out the sound stages and so on. So we have that first century feel. But it's been because of the viewer, the people that watch the show that love it, and are contributing, like buying our merchandise, or buying the books and different things from there. That leads to more money to go into the show, and the more money in the show, we just put it right back into it. And so we had a meager, modest budget for season 1. But now that we just finished with production of season 5, our budget was 5 times our season 1 budget. And what's been beautiful from that is the quality of bringing the right bill with the right message at the right time. It's really going to pay off, and you're going to see big changes dramatically in the approach of our season 5, because it's the last week that Jesus is alive. It's the Holy Week, and we have to be big there because we're just leading up to the final stages of his life.
Yeah. Well, of course, you know a little something about going viral because you were the guy behind the viral success of Mr. Beast too, right?
Yeah, definitely a strategist. He's a pretty amazing creator on his own. But where I've found my skill set is really how to develop audiences, how to get more people aware of really good content, and make it more of a community driven thing, and have that spread across the world. But yeah, I've been working with him for about 7 years.
Yeah. What's the secret behind getting all the people behind you? Because it's I know you literally wrote the book on it, but
Yeah.
also the just people put out great content all the time, and sometimes the strangest stuff makes it to the top, and sometimes the stuff that you're like, who would like this is has millions of views.
I'll tell you, for me, I was eight. I was about 8 years old, and my uncles took me to the movie theaters, and I was in the movie theaters watching Empire Strikes Back for the first time, and it was the moment that Darth Vader revealed to Luke Skywalker that he was his dad. That just kind of flipped my mind, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" I was like freaking out, and all I could do is just talk about it, and I talk it with other people, and that's kind of how virality is. It's like when some people bring value, and that in that case is like entertainment and that shock and that awe to a story that you love. It brought up conversations, and it brought more people to be aware of the project, and so it kind of all started there for me. And I would say content is what is good will always speak to the person. And I want to bring it back to how I found out about Dallas Jenkins. I actually saw a short film they made for his church called The Shepherd. And as soon as I started watching it, Paul, I knew it was low budget, but it spoke to me in a level that I thought was fresh. I thought the content was amazing. And it was like seeing the birth of Jesus Christ, but through the perspective of the shepherd. And I never thought about that. And I'm like, man, I really want to meet this guy. And so I met him, and he shared the vision of the show, The Chosen, he wanted to make. And I'm like, I'm all in. Like, let's do this, because that it spoke to me. And if he could do the same thing about Jesus's life, about those that he called, you're able to see how they were before Jesus, as they're introduced to Jesus, and the transformation after. I'm like, I'm all in. And I think that's the secret of the show, because what Jesus taught 2,000 years ago is so relevant today. But the people who he called were actual people. They're different. They have different complicated backgrounds. They have different issues that they're facing with. And I think us as viewers, we're able to connect to those that he called and those that are in the show, and relate to them. And I think that's what really pulls into our humanity, and also our issues that we're facing, our demons that we're fighting. And it's able to showcase a path of what his message is really about, even when it's not clear for us at sometimes. And sometimes it's not even clear for those that he called until that moment. And when they feel that message, then that's where I see the big transformation of really what he taught 2,000 years ago. And I think that's what the success of the show is, but also viral content. I think it needs to speak to people, and then people will share.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, part of that, we talk about that on the show, is that success mindset that you have to have,
Yep.
whether you're feeling it or not. Sometimes we're tough on ourselves, and we're flawed humans. So is there something that you kind of keep in mind that keeps you on the right path even when things are tough?
Yeah, well, I think for me, it's like I think God knows me personally, and He understands how I operate, and I like to really push hard. I like to go really, really fast. I like to push hard, and there's sometimes that it's just compounding pressure, of life and everything that comes into it. And really, it's the people that are impacted by the show that puts gas in my tank, that gives me more energy, is seeing all the time, energy, effort, money is worth someone developing a deeper love for God. And also some of them are discovering who God really is through the show. And so for me, that is all the gas in the tank that I need. And it actually gives me more drive to get it out to more people. Like I think our team is very centered on that. We'd love to have 1 billion people watch this, Paul, because they're gonna feel the message, and if it can deepen their relationship, that they'll get on their knees, or they'll open their Bible, or go back to church. That's what we want. Like, we're just a TV show, but if it spurs on at least thought processes, or starting to consider life a little bit differently, or, oh, I didn't know that was there, that's what it's all about. And once we get the first million, Paul, we're going to go for the second. We have to.
Yeah, of course. Well, and of course that's the thing is, for a lot of people that are questioning their faith, this is quite literally a prayer answered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, whether or not people believe or not, there is a whole lot that they can get out of the show, right? Because there's a
I would
life
say, yeah, I would say, because like the shows, like I would say Christian media prior to The Chosen was all about the greatest hits of Jesus, or here's this one specific scene, and there's like no life context behind it. There's no connection behind it. And for us, and the amazing writers that we have, and Dallas leading the charge here, is more about what was life like in first century? How tough was it to be a Jew in Judea when you had Roman oppression? You had even some hard feelings to some people from Samaria. You had all these complications that are around you. What was going through your relationships? How was your life like? And then here came the ultimate disruptor, which is Jesus, which pretty much threw first century Judea on its head a couple times, by doing things differently and the way that he approached it. And the things that they learned in the past, when they started to see it be fulfilled, and they didn't have a good understanding of why it was happening this way, or they had a misinterpretation of what was being taught, it just caused them to think differently and to process things differently. And so for me, I love the show for that. And I think it's very relatable for anyone going through any type of scenario, that they don't need to be a believer. This is great content. This is TV. And when they're able to see stories that relate to them, that's where I think it's taking the right steps forward, which is getting them a little bit deeper into the content, which ultimately will get them to really understand what he taught over 2,000 years ago that's relevant for today.
Yeah. Well, I know this may be equivalent to when someone's at the hospital and they're having a baby saying, "When are you going to have another one?" But season 5, we're going to see this here. Actually, I guess it probably kicks back up in another few months, right?
Yeah, so we just got done with production, so we're in post production, so we're doing some editing for season 5, and we haven't announced when it's going to be released yet or our strategy behind it. But we've been pretty good to stick around the same time of release, and so you can kind of expect that. But from the beginning, Dallas made it clear that we're going to only have 7 seasons, and the next type we go into production will be for season 6, and so we got 2 seasons left, and so really excited about it. Like this. This is kind of surreal for me, Paul, because I never imagined, um, how it was like during the Holy Week. I mean, you always learn about the Holy Week, and season 5 is about the Holy Week, but actually seeing the perspective and thinking about how people would have gathered in Jerusalem and the uproar of who this Jesus is that's being very disruptive, and the polarization that was happening, it's kind of like the times that we're living in now. And it just made a lot of the stuff, more sense of kind of signs of the times of him coming back for a second coming. But it's giving us clarity now, kind of where we're at too. I just, when I was reading that, I'm like, oh, I just had that thought. It's just like very interesting timing that the world needs to see just his last week. And I think we're in times now that we should start paying attention and getting back into that Bible and really just devouring the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then of course, do you have any words of wisdom for people who are inspired by this show and think that, I got a story to tell, or maybe they could go this way because, these stories, can live on in other forms too.
Yeah, I would say from the beginning, Dallas and our heart wanted to create something that would inspire people, inspire them to self-reflect, to deepen that relationship they have with God. But we also wanted to inspire them to create. We celebrate the creators. We celebrate people that feel in their heart that they should do a sketch design of something in the show, or they might do a short film. One of my favorites is this 13-year-old did a Lego recreation, just stop motion, animation of our trailer, and it got millions of views. And I'm like, dude, this is so great that our piece of content is inspiring other people to create, because we're created from the creator, and the gift that we have is to take that gift that God's given us and give it to others. And I think this is projected through light, and God gives us that light to project. And I hope that the chosen, kind of our light that we're sharing with the world will inspire other people to share their light.
I love that. Well, Derral, as always, it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. We thank you very much. We thank you, our sponsor, the Red Bull. And we're also going to tell everyone to check out The Chosen. The new season is out right now, and you can watch it on the Chosen app. Thank you so much for being with us again.
Thanks, Paul.